Introducing our new series of intimate in-person trading conferences in some of the greatest cities in America. It's Market Rebellion Live. Next up, this June in Sonoma County, California. Savor some of the finest wines in America while you level up your trading with Pete Najarian, John Najarian, AJ Monty, Ryan Mastro, and Bill Johnson. Sonoma is limited to just 25 seats to ensure every guest gets personal attention, so act now. Tickets are going fast.
Oh, good God. Did you see how smooth that was? Came smacking into the microphone.
That's for Dave Elliott.
There you
because
go. Yep.
Some of you have been complaining about the lack of the clapper.
Yeah.
And I figure, Pete, it's a matter of time before Josh now gets a bell
He's going to
that he
get
can
a bell.
ring for his show.
He's going to come back and ring that victory bell like we always wanted to.
Just like we always wanted to.
That's from Greece, folks, if you didn't remember. It's a great line.
Well, welcome back to the Rebel Edge, folks. Yeah, the clapper, I got it. I'll be flying back up to Chicago in a couple days. I'll get it. But until then, I've got the bell, Pete.
Yeah, well,
and like I say, for the people that like copying whatever we do, and there's a lot of them, it's a matter of time before they have a bell on their show too. But welcome to the Rebel's Edge. Rebel's Edge every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at approximately 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We bring you the Rebel's Edge, where we discuss the top stories of the day, macro minute, a couple bits of unusual activity, and then some sports. So let's dive into the macro minute, Pete. It seems that after a little bit of further perusing of Powell's speech, they don't think it was nearly as bullish as they thought yesterday.
It's amazing how the interpretation of something like that gets mixed up so many different times, John. I mean, yesterday, people were just absolutely just waiting for the moment, and we had a volatile day where we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, finished up big. Today, a little bit of follow through on the sell side of that whole thing. So I guess you could almost look at it as a continuation from yesterday, because I think that is the big influence. I know there's some earnings out there as catalysts as well. I think this is all Powell related.
Oh, yes. I would say the macro is and should be all about the market's interpretation of Powell and how dovish he is. Of course he's dovish. He's always been a dove. But he needed to talk tough, and yesterday he tried a little, and then the market didn't believe him and just rallied. Anyway, let's dive into some stocks, Pete, because you and I talked about Uber. We talked about the unusual activity in Uber. They were buying the 3250 calls, bought a ton of them. And those calls that were bought between $1.14 and I think $1.40, Pete, because frequently, folks, when people are buying calls like that, they'll drive the price higher and higher. They did that. And guess what? Today they traded over $5. A mere 384% profit, Pete, because we're not the guys that trade ETFs for a 1 or 2% move, are we?
No, that's not our style. We're option guys, we're derivatives guys, and we love the leverage that got removed after the financial crisis. I would say this too, John. One of the things we talked about with Uber was when you look at the company, when do you make money? Can you do it consistently? Well, we don't know. We still don't know the answer to can they do it consistently, but they certainly have figured out a way to finally make some money. And their revenue growth, absolutely off the charts. 72% year over year rev growth. I mean, when you look at some of these numbers, John, they're absolutely extraordinary. 2 billion rides and all the rest of it. But I tell you what, I look right at that earnings number. Revenue has a meaning, but earnings even have more of a meaning, in my opinion. And because of that, and because of what those numbers look like, we're seeing that stock react pretty nicely. Now the big question is, Can you do it quarter after quarter after quarter and make money? And I guess we'll have to wait a little while longer to see that, but certainly a huge pop today.
Yep, a very nice pop. Went through 37 to the upside, folks. It was 31 and a half, I think, Pete, when we saw that activity, as you guys saw on that post from our blog. And always remember, our subscribers get that right when it happens. When the stock was 31.44 or whatever it was, Pete, they got that unusual activity on Friday or Thursday last week. I forget which. I talked about it with Charles Payne on Fox Business Channel. And you used to get stuff like that at CNBC, but now they're a little more interested, Pete, in talking macro all the time, I guess. So anyway, we're down here in Florida at the Wall Street Conference, folks. It's a great time. I'm here on one of the boats because we use these boats a lot for business when we're down here. Do a lot of private meetings and things on here, and we had John Bolton, Pete, the former head of the U.S. delegation for the United Nations, Tulsi Gabbard. I told her, by the way, Pete, that you're in love with her. And she said, my husband will be glad to hear that.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Maybe there's some sort of something with deal we could work out. But anyway, go on. Sorry.
All right. Well, let's take a look at Capri, Pete, CPRI, because these guys down really, really hard. Versace, Jimmy Choo, Michael Kors. Yeah, those are some of the brands that they have under that company. And they posted guidance that really missed expectations. Analysts had been looking for $222 a share. They came in at 184. You missed by 40 cents. That's a lot, Pete.
Yeah, they just stumbled everywhere, John. There's no demand for the luxury market, at least what we're seeing from them. And they are the luxury market. I mean, we're talking about Kors, Versace, all those kind of big brand names, but it's a monstrous miss. They missed on the earnings in a big way. Revenue was down as well, pretty decently down. But, they're talking about how challenging it is. We understand it's challenging, but sometimes you've got to figure out it's going to be challenging when there's still parts of the world that are doing things, shifting around. And I think, unfortunately for this company, they put themselves in a bit of a bind and they're leveraged. And you look at all of that, you look at the free cash flow, it's very minimal, John. So there's a lot of things right now that it weighs on them. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time for this company to get back on track. And you know what? We are in a very interesting economy right now. People are still trading down to some degree. So I wonder if this pressure stays on to them a little bit further into 2023.
I think it will, Pete. So it's not a don't touch, but it's like pick it up on significant drops like this would be my advice. I am not buying it today, but I probably am not far from buying it, depending what LVMH and some of the other companies in the luxury sector come out with. Mm-hmm. All right, Pete, how about cybersecurity? Fortinet, FTNT, up big in the after hours last night because their earnings were pretty exceptional, sort of the opposite story of Capri Holdings.
It's exactly the opposite, John. You just flipped the script. I mean, this is a company that everything is going right. Their balance sheet is absolutely incredible. The free cash flow, just under $1 billion. When you look at just about every number that they put up, John, it's incredible. Earnings up 76% year over year. These numbers are staggering. Revenue up over 33% as well. Guidance is strong demand and strong price ability to raise prices. People are willing to pay it. They need that. They want that. And when you're talking cybersecurity, I think people right now, John, feel like this is a time where they've got to be involved in this. They've got to spend. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening in front of us. These numbers are exactly the opposite. Absolutely incredible quarter for Fortinet.
Yep, it was. And cybersecurity, folks, when you have balloons flying over the United States from China, it's not surprising that obviously that's not part of this quarter's earnings. And obviously that was not cyber security necessarily. We don't know exactly what that balloon was doing over the country, but we do know that will focus people in on security and cybersecurity. And that's another reason that stock's getting that lift. Mm-hmm. Speaking of not getting a lift, Pete, Lumen. which is Lumen Technologies. These guys, it's like a CenturyLink and things like that in your home if you're part of the country that has CenturyLink. They're down 24%, Pete. 71 million share turnover in the first couple hours. This is I think they said a 34-year low for the stock.
It's getting hammered, John, for all the right reasons. They've divested in certain areas. Their free cash flow is absolutely dried up. It's unfortunate, but has made a lot of different decisions. We'll see over the next couple of quarters if some of those decisions actually are panning out for them. But as of right now, they are finding themselves in exactly where they should based on what they were able to put up, John, over this past quarter. It's ugly. It's not something. I mean, we had one up, one down, one up, this one down. And Lumen, I'll tell you what, I have no interest in touching this one. I'm not sure when. I'm going to have to look around and see if there's any reason to actually jump onto this name, John, because I haven't been able to find one yet. And those numbers were absolutely phenomenally bad this past quarter.
As our friend Dennis Gartman would say, Pete, except he usually talked going from the lower left to the upper right. In other words, an upward sloping curve. When you've got a downward sloping curve like Lumen has, upper left to lower right, that ain't good. And that's exactly what you just described, Pete. Free cash flow is a big part of why they missed. Mm-hmm. All right, I've got one, but you're going to have to listen close, folks. Unusual activity in Bed Bath & Beyond, bearish puts. And many of you might say, oh my God, I should go out and short this stock. My read of this, Pete, is they bought 7,800 of the 24th of February. So that's 2 weeks into the future, folks. 24th of February, 2 strike puts, and they paid about 34 cents for these puts. So in other words, you'd be short at about what, $1.66, Pete? You could be short because $2 minus the premium you paid and so forth. I think, Pete, this might be somebody who's buying the stock or already long the stock and buying the puts to set a downside floor in case they go more towards liquidation. You and I reported yesterday, they're not going towards liquidation. They're going towards, they've got a big line of credit from a big firm, over $1 billion in total. And I would think, Pete, this is buying puts, buying stock, which to me is a bullish trade.
Yeah, I would agree with you, John. It feels like more of a protective measure here. And I think that's exactly right. If you're willing to take a shot, put yourself out there, own stock, why not buy this kind of, the premium level is not that bad. So it gives you an opportunity to be able to protect your investment if that's what your concerns are. Hey, this thing could really start to get hit even harder. I've got protection in place. I've got my insurance policy there. John, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead. Palo Alto Networks. So we talked about Fortinet, similar. We're talking about cybersecurity here. We heard those numbers. They were fantastic. This is a stock that spiked very, very rapidly early, John. Palo Alto Networks did. It was up around 168. We got a buyer of 9,000 of the March 200 calls, buying a lot of time. Because think about it. We just got into February, and now you're going all the way out to March. So this is the third week of March. These actually expire. You've bought time. Can this stock get up to 200? It certainly can. These kind of stocks make moves that can absolutely be extraordinary. Somebody's looking for a move to the upside that's going to be extraordinary. 9,000 of those March 200 calls, 76 cents is what they're going for. It's interesting, a little bit of a roll. They're coming up from the 170s to those 200 calls. They sold some there, it looks like, but either way, John, I like this trade. I like cybersecurity. I think now is the time to continue to be involved in this world. And I think on the bullish side. So when I saw this, I immediately jumped on it. I like what we're seeing here from Palo Alto.
So today we had Palo Alto Networks, Pete's Unusual. And we also had Fortinet, FTNT. So, take it what you will, folks. If they're buying broadly across that cybersecurity space, that's usually what Pete and I would call a nice tell. All right, Pete, let's dive into sports, but I understand you don't want to start with the NFL today. You want to start with the NBA.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to go over more prop bets in a minute, but first we're going to start with the NBA. Kyrie Irving. Now, Is he a bit of a guy that people have varying opinions on? 100% yes. But where they don't vary, John, is this guy really one of the superstars of the NBA? Absolutely. He's been an 8-time All-Star. By the way, when he played in Cleveland, he's the one who hit the basket when it needed to be hit to win the championship. This guy is nothing but unbelievable on the basketball court. Yes, he's got other issues that a lot of people have focused on. Whatever. I mean, this guy, I think when you match him up with Luka, this is reason alone for us to think about, does the Dallas GM, the Mavericks, is this guy up for GM of the year? We were talking about this the past year, John, with John Lynch with San Francisco. Went out and got McCaffrey. Big, huge name. A great addition to what they were trying to do. And he certainly did not fail. That guy absolutely gave them everything they needed when they got that pick. So that was brilliant. I think this is brilliant. I think this is going to put Dallas in a spot where with these two superstars together, John, I think Dallas has a great opportunity in front of them to be one of those teams at the very end who's still standing. Can they win it? Absolutely, they could win it all. But I'm not saying they are just yet, but I think this is a great move. I think Jason Kidd, the head coach, absolutely loves what they're doing. When he was asked about it, he just said, hey, look, you guys can focus all day long on what he was doing during the pandemic and this and that and all that crap. This guy plays basketball, and we're in the here and now. We love what he can do for our franchise. So I love seeing that, and I think that our good friend Mark Cuban might be pretty happy about this whole thing, don't you think?
Yeah, I do think so, Pete. I don't think Cuban's had a hard time selling tickets in Dallas, but now that you got him down there in Dallas, Kyrie Irving, I think that is a game changer for them. And it just makes Luka all the more effective, Pete, because it's like when you have two great wide receivers in football, who do you double cover? With these guys, obviously, it's going to be a situation where, okay, do you want Kyrie taking that winning shot, or do you want Luka taking that winning shot? Because that they're not the only two players on that team.
Right.
So yeah, I like what Cuban's got down there, and Jason Kidd's another Cal guy, Pete. So I guess we got that too.
Yep, go Bears. All right,
Go
John.
Bears.
So the next one I got for you. Let's get to the prop bets, because you and I were talking about it, and I think you were dead on when you said, you know what, we should cover these. We ought to cover them almost every day, because going into the Super Bowl, we only have so much time. So I got two, and you've got two. I think these prop bets are nothing but fun. They're crazy as all get out, but why not? So how about this one, John? How about the number of Eagles sacks combined with the Flyers goals? I mean, you combine those two numbers. It shows you how crazy things can be. But, let's not forget the Eagles had 70 sacks this past year. The Flyers been a hockey team, obviously. You add that together, NHL with the NFL. That's kind of fun. That's not going to be it for me, but that one I thought was a pretty fun one. Here's what I got for you. How about Chris Stapleton? I love him. I'm a country music fan, and the national anthem. So you can bet it. It's either direction, John, either over 125 seconds or under 125 seconds. I think he's the kind of guy who's probably going to go a little bit slow with it. So I'd probably go the over. That would be the way I'd be leaning in this one. $115 is what it's going to be. Outside of that, the only other one that right now for today I'm going to give you is Travis Kelce. And I love this one, John. Can he score 3 touchdowns or more? Now, he did it twice this year, right, in 2022. Yep. So can he do that in the Super Bowl? Well, it's a long shot. It's 2,300 to 1. So I kind of like that one. I think it gives an opportunity. Could this guy do it? Well, they're saying it's pretty unlikely, but you never know. So I like that bet as well.
And that is, like Pete said, you bet $100, you could win $2,300 on that bet. I like this one, Pete, and I had Kels too, Travis Kelce. I call him Kels once in a while. By the way, there's 2 Kelce boys on the field. Pete knows that. The guard, is it guard, Pete, or center?
Yeah.
Center for Philadelphia, and he's a beast. But Travis, 2 touchdowns, that pays $475. So you get an idea of how far out of the money Pete's is. That's like buying a way out of the money call, but an exciting one. We told you yesterday about the 2-point conversion. Would it be attempted, not made, but attempted? That's 100 to win 110. I like that one. I also, Pete, like that one about more than 2 players passing during the game. I like that because the Eagles are going to be coming at them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Kansas City, knowing our friend Andy Reid as we do, Pete, knowing that he might have some trick plays in there. I don't think it'll be that serpentine stupid thing that they did against.
That was nuts. That was fun, though.
It was fun, but that wasn't really so much a trick play as just kind of a, let's screw with these guys because we got them beat. Will Philadelphia convert a 4th down in its own territory? $100 to win 300. I talked about it. That's my favorite bet of this, Pete. And I think Philly may indeed do that. So I'd put that bet down.
I like it. I think we're going to have more tomorrow because it'll be our last Rebels Edge of the week. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun, John. And by the way, anytime Andy Reid is looking at that Waffle House menu while he's standing on the sidelines, always go with this one: scattered, smothered, covered, diced, and chunked. That's the way he rolls.
Bang. Bang. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us for the Rebels Edge today. He's Pete Najarian. I'm John Najarian. Jared is our producer, and we hope you join us again tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'll follow up with a little 3 at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Till then, see you, folks.